So another form of being psychic under the broad spectrum of what that means is astrology. I don't know if you guys are into it. I am. I've studied traditional astrology. I'm not a professional. I can't give professional readings, but I can like generally look at a chart and like pick some things from it. It takes a really long time to read a chart because it's very complex. It's basically like your entire like personality and people around, depending on which form of astrology you study. Some say it's like, oh, this represents people in your life, or oh, it represents you type of thing. But you can kind of grasp like what you're supposed to be doing and what you would be good at from astrology. And it talks a lot about symbolism and archetypes, which I find interesting. I think that's like a very female thing. I think women really like the concept of archetypes, which is why they so much gravitate to astrology. Also, I think they have an inclination to be a little more spiritual. I think it's something to do with the fact that they bring humans into the world. That's kind of like a life portal or whatever.
No, it's totally true.
But I think it's interesting, and that's an interesting form of psychic. I think that's the most accurate one that I've personally dealt with, is not so much the people who like just read you like with nothing, but people who do tarot and astrology. I noticed that tends to be more accurate for psychic stuff. One of the ones, shout out to Aphrodite, because I like his YouTube channel. I followed him since he was a smaller Twitch streamer, and he does a lot of readings. And I found even with his general readings, he does tarot and astrology, but this is for his tarot readings. He'll be like, okay, like pick a deck, right? It'll be like 3 decks and like 3 different symbols on it, right? And then you go to that timestamp in the video, and then he does a reading. And he had one that was, they're always accurate for me, which is weird because nobody else is accurate when they do these like general type of readings. One time he pulled like my birthday out, like when he was pulling out the numbers, I was like, this reading feels so personal, like everything's so extremely niche and accurate. And I showed it to my friends, and well, my friend Mira, because she's the one who goes schizo with me. Like, you need one schizo friend. You need one friend where you can like just be like insane to, and we vibe off that. So I'm like, oh my God, check this out. And he's the one that I found is actually like really accurate. And I've asked him for personal reading too, and it seemed pretty accurate. So that's one of the good experiences I've had with psychics.
I like that. I got my family right here tattooed on this arm right here. I don't know if you can see it, but
yeah, I can. That's cute.
No, thank you. It's like older brother and dad are Capricorns. My mom's a Pisces, and then me and my younger brother are Cancers. So I got like everyone grouped in right there. And I needed something to remind me of my family. I got like plenty of artwork on there, and there's got to be some family stuff, family appropriate stuff. But yeah, I believe in that. I believe it in like, in terms of personality types, because I found it to be like very, very true. Even when it just comes to like basic descriptions and personality types with like the month you're born and your sign. I don't know like how much more to it there is, but like,
oh, it's a lot more to it. It's not just the sun sign. It's like the sun is, it's illuminating. It's pretty strong, but it's one aspect. There could be things in your chart that make another archetype way more prevalent in your natal chart. And it takes a really long time to learn how to read natal charts. That's why they get paid so much. It's a very, it's an industry where there's a high want for it. There's a demand, but there's also a long learning curve. So that's why, and it takes a long time to read someone's chart because it's very complex and to remember everything as well. So yeah, it's not just sun sign, but it's cool that you're open-minded to it, because usually men tend to scoff at it. They're just like, that's so dumb. And the reason for that is because modern astrology has taken astrology and turned into this like pop culture thing that's like very dumb and shallow and inaccurate with some of the practices that they do. They don't even factor things in, like when you're born at night versus when you're born during the day. It changes the planets and the meanings and how they're relative to each other and what that means for you and affects your life. But most people don't know that. Most people don't even know like what a natal chart is. You need the exact time to do that. And that it's very specific. It's not just this broad Barnum effect type of thing that people, especially tends to be men, seem to conceptualize astrology as, because of how pop culture has given their take on astrology. And it's really annoying because it's super interesting. Even if you say, oh, it's all not true and there's no magic element to it. Okay, but it's still interesting archetypically, and it is really cool how it has symbolism and what the planets mean and how the planets were assigned these meanings and how it reflects back to even how they physically look and how it reflects onto gods and goddesses. For example, Aphrodite/Venus, she's the god of that planet. It has that association.
Goddess of love.
Yeah, and it's like the love planet, right? So, which we're in Libra season right now. Venus is in Libra, fun fact. Anyway, how she's painted is this, this pale redhead, right? This beautiful pale redhead. And the planet itself, Venus, the outside of it is red and the inside of it is white, like very pale. So it actually does look like her. So there's these like weird things, these weird coincidences and very poetic things about astrology that I think go really underappreciated because of just people being very dismissive. So I really like that aspect of it. Or like how Saturn is like the last planet, which rules my chart. It has like a very significant presence in my personal chart. So because I'm Capricorn rising and Aquarius sun, they're both ruled by Saturn. So it's the planet of discipline, judgment, and time and death and magic. So it's like the last planet you can visibly see in the sky, like with a naked eye. And what's interesting about that is that it represents death. So it's like fading into like the netherworld, right? Because it rules over death. So visually it matches the definition of what it is and what it represents. So I think things like that are really cool. And then like you have Neptune and Uranus. Neptune is like the furthest planet away, right? And it rules over Pisces in modern astrology. So it's very much like the dreamy sign, like neurotic, like extraterrestrial out there, like outside of the physical realm. It's because you can't see it. It's the furthest away. So that's what I find cool about it.
Yeah, I love all that stuff. I mean, I wrote a comic called Cain, featuring a handsome gentleman over here, my co-creator, Brock, as the titular hero. But I've written like 40 issues, and this is just the first issue of many, many, many to come. But it's the core system of like power is derived from the gods, and primarily like the Greek gods.
I love Greek gods.
Yeah, me too. I like reading the Iliad and the Odyssey growing up. I like fell in love with it as like a kid. But they are the, primary like power source and like guiding factors and the universe. But obviously it's like based on these characters, but they're like ruling everything from afar and sometimes up close and personal.
Yeah, involved.
Yeah, but like I had to do it. I love all that stuff too.
Is Cain based on like the biblical concept? Because I heard there was I was watching Wendy Goon and he made a video about this and I was like falling asleep to it. Basically, like Adam and Eve had a kid and it's Cain, and he in theory could still be walking the earth. And then I was like, oh wait, that means like canon to the Bible, like vampires might exist. That's really cool. So is it like kind of like that in your book, or like which aspect?
No, Cain's definitely just a name we liked and ascribed to the hero. But yeah, I have no relation to like Cain and Abel or the wrestler Cain. Just the name we liked and went with. Thanks for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Thanks for tuning in to Studio 22.